I'm Michael Reese.
And I'm Woods Davis.
And this is the Digital President Podcast.
We've cracked the code for generating customers online for every business model.
In fact, we wrote the book on it.
We built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses in as little as 90 days. And the one truth that we discovered is
the best business model is doing what you love and living your life by strategy.
You truly can follow your passion and create the life of your dreams,
as long as you have the right strategy.
If you're a real estate agent and you'd like to learn how you can partner with us to help you implement our strategies and systems in your business so you can make a lot more money and have a lot more time freedom, all without ever paying us a penny or giving up a percentage of your commission, go to partnershipdetails.com and schedule a call with us today. While it's fresh in your mind, go to partnershipdetails.com. Now on to the podcast.
Welcome to the Digital President Podcast, and today we're going to talk about 2022. The hot topic is, when is the market going to crash? And most importantly, two people that have been through a few of those crashes, some tips of what you could do. So, let's get started. Let's jump right in. I know this is a hot topic, and a lot of people have a lot of different opinions, and so we wanted to step into the arena, obviously, after going through a handful of these different types of markets. Hopefully we can give you a little bit of insight on how to make it through the crash and what some of the mindsets and things that you can do for yourself in order to assure that you grow. So for me, Woods, it starts with mindset. I think that in anything that you do, it's the balance of being like, some people don't know how to, some people have not been very good at handling emotions, right? So one of the things that when the market crashes, what happens is it really comes down to the story that we're telling ourselves. So do we look at, is the market, crashing? And guys, I'm not saying something that's, something that's been done before. I think 2008 was a pretty bad crash. So something equal to that, but if a market like that were to start tomorrow or the next day, the good news is that there's thousands and thousands of my friends that made it through the market crash. And so the first thing that you want to do is you have to understand that it's an opportunity, and every problem that you have in your real estate business is going to lead you to equal or greater opportunity. And what I mean by that is some of the things that happen to you in your real estate business, especially if you're a student and a learner, you come out of it more valuable, more educated, a business that when you look back, you're like, man, if we wouldn't have went through this hard part here, we would have never gotten here, because we would have never made this decision, we would have never went to this conference and learned from this person. So from my perspective, when things get tough, just remember that there's 3D chess. You always have a move. Every problem has a solution. And I err on the side of the Darwinian thinning of the herd, that the people out there that need a transaction tomorrow to pay their bills, those agents who have not relied on systems, they've not relied on really building their business on a strong foundation. In other words, the last 3 of their last 9 transactions, they couldn't mathematically tell you how to recreate them. Because they didn't create them. They happened by osmosis or by accident. There's not an intentional effort or something that they did strategically in order to create those transactions. Those agents are going to see those opportunities fall to the wayside. And when you're living on the edge, let's say with doing the average, I think the average real estate agent closes, let's just call it 6 homes. I know the number moves every year, but let's just say it's 6 homes a year. If you lose 2 deals out of 6, that's 30% of your income. And if you were already living on the edge, that could get really hard really quick. And so the first thing that you want to do is start playing offense, and know that it's a philosophy that you have to live by. And the philosophy needs to be marketing, because if the market crashes, one thing I can tell you is that the consumer will have more uncertainty, they'll have more problems, more challenges, more concerns. And for marketers who know how to position themselves in front of those home sellers, they'll be able to leverage marketing in order to identify opportunities, qualified opportunities, and turn marketing qualified opportunities into sales conversations. And for the individuals that do that, I think they'll actually grow, because at the end of the day, it's not the top producer in your market. You know, you could go to a market where there's 200 agents, and let's say the top producer is selling 300 homes a year. It's the 100 agents selling 3 deals a year that are taking market share, not the one or two at the, you know, the 80-20, the 20% of the top. It's the 80% that are picking at the opportunities that might find it harder to stay in the business. And we see this every year around April, when annual dues, whenever the dues are due for the next year, that's when we see the largest depopulation of real estate agents. And that's because they're holding on. They haven't had a deal since 6 months ago, 5 months ago, and there's not one in the pipeline, and they don't want to let go of a few $100. Those agents will continue to churn out of the business. And I think, again, opportunities will be better for everything. If you're looking to grow your brokerage, there'll be opportunities. And, you know, and Woods, I think you've already demonstrated this in the downturn. That's how we were introduced to each other, you know, you really leaned in.
Yeah, I think you really nailed that, because the reality is, in like you said, in any market, there's an opportunity. And particularly when markets are shifting and more of a down market, there's a lot of people searching for answers, which creates opportunity for you to be able to provide more solutions, aka add more value through marketing, and be able to get attention and create more clients. And so for us, regardless of the market, regardless of the industry, even for us as marketers, we recognize the principles of attraction, not chasing down a deal, but actually attracting business. And that comes with being able to simply solve problems for people, being able to add value before people become a client. So, for example, you know, back when the market crashed in, 2008, 2009, one of our top lead magnets was, how to write a hardship letter, right? Well, like, what does writing a hardship letter have to do with selling a house? Well, back then, people were facing foreclosure, and part of the process in order to work with their lender and try to get some type of deal worked out with the lender was trying to identify their hardship, right? So when you understand, just again, those principles, like that listen, the market's always the same. If you become the type of agent who wants to be a marketer, who wants to attract business, who wants to actually solve problems, create content, put that content out in the marketplace, and give people information for free, add value to them up front, you can always put yourself in a position to win, because you can just start solving different problems. It's always so funny back during that crash, where people were kind of panicked. I remember it was so funny. People would come to me and they'd be like, "Woods, I've got listings. I got no problem finding sellers. I need buyers," which sounds so silly for most people, especially in today's market, right? Where it's like, hey, it's the exact opposite, right? The market dynamic, it's a seller's market. So as everybody's like, hey, I've got plenty of buyers. I need sellers. I need inventory, right? And now we're starting to see that market starting to shift back, the pendulum starting to swing again. So rather than putting yourself in a position where you're just dictated by the market, because all you're working with is the people that are kind of flowing to you organically because of market conditions, and let's not be mistaken. I mean, if you have a real estate license, you're somewhat active, you're going to be able to get business just because of your sphere and the people who know you and some of those little referrals that are going to come in. But if you build a system with some intention, you're going to be in a good position, because right now is the time to really be focused on building your pipeline. So, 6 months from now, a year from now, you are never going to even experience a downturn. In fact, this is a real great opportunity for you to actually experience an upturn in your business. So I'm optimistic about the market. I do believe that the market is definitely shifting. I think we can feel that. But I think we're going to have a nice little bit of a run here of some more equilibrium in the market. which is creating more inventory for more buyer, opportunities where there's some pent up buyer demand. And I think that there's real opportunities for some real gangsters who want to get in front of this. Like, for example, people that have been focused on new construction. Right now you've got situations where buyers are falling out of contracts, right? So, there's lots of opportunity to be able to find those deals that are like ready to go now deals, put those and play the matchmaker between people who are, ready, willing, and able buyers, and match them up with some of these, new opportunities to buy some of these houses that are in that market. So again, whatever the niche is, if you focus and apply yourself and work on the system, you're going to be okay. If you got no system, and you're just chasing business, then you could start feeling a pinch.
Yeah, and I definitely think you're going to. I mean, at the end of the day, you just have to follow what's going on in the marketplace. If you look at February and March, we had the greatest number of buyers in basically almost history. But you got to remember, those buyers were able to lock in their rates, right? So they locked in, they were able to lock in their rates in advance. If you look when really the market shifted as far as, the stock market, stuff like that, there was a, I think it was like November 20th or something like that is like the date when the market actually shifted. And what happens is a lot of buyers, when it comes to buying homes, we started to see an increase in rates. And so up until around the first week of May, we had seen about 3% over the last 4 months of an increase in rates, right? Now you get into May, mortgage applications are down by 75%. And so what's going to happen is you have buyers who are trying to buy more house with more expensive money, right? And so so those people that locked in the rates, now you have the buyer pool who is on the fence saying, well, I think there's a shift. And here's what's going to happen. And this was predicted. I almost did this podcast right at the beginning of May. But here's what's happened is you're going to see an increase in inventory. This is what I would have told you in May 1st. You're going to see an increase in June, July, and August. And here's what's going to happen. That's not going to hit mainstream media until probably October, November, and December. So all of the stuff that does happen, then it's going to hit mainstream media. Once it hits mainstream media, the sellers that aren't in the market to buy, but they were saying, hey, I think I was going to sell, they're going to start having uncertainty. So what's going to happen in that moment of uncertainty is if they start, depending on how the media plays the narrative, if interest rates are high, a seller was thinking they needed to sell. It's like the house I have here. I better go. I mean, that was like the pressure being put on me. You better sell it now. You better sell it now. You don't want to have it drop. People think they're going to lose that equity. Once you start getting that narrative within the media, then you're going to see another increase of inventory going into the slower time, depending on if we continue to raise interest rates on top of that, you're going to see the market shifted. It's going to have shifted. And so now sellers are going to think tomorrow can be worse than today. Sellers are going to they're going to want to sell. They're going to want to get the equity, this money that they didn't ever have, has never been in their hand, that's now being taken from them. And so you'll see a lot of different shifts in the market. And I think that it's going to come. The tail's going to wag the dog here. I think as we get past the busy season, as the numbers get reported, and as the Fed fights stagflation, inflation, as they start to do the things that they have to do in order to, just keep us in business, so to speak, for a lack of a better term, you're going to see some of these shifts happen. They're going to hit mainstream media. It's going to exponentially impact the mindset and the narrative. Once that narrative is impacted, no different than COVID, you're going to see housing in all of the news, on the local, on the national, on CNBC, and that's going to start playing into the psyche of the seller, which is just going to continue to bring down those home sales prices. And at some point, we'll see when the buyers step back in. But I can tell you, it's going to be a year from now. It's going to be great to be a buyer, and 6 months ago, it was great to be a seller. And that's how And from a marketing perspective, You know, if you understand the concerns, the problems, the challenges, if you have an opinion and you're out there like we are, you're watching this video. If you're watching this video, then that means other people watch videos. People watch videos about what? About things that they're uncertain about. If you're uncertain about what's going on in the real estate market, there's probably other people that are uncertain about what's going on in the real estate market. They probably think there's going to be a crash, not a market crash, but maybe a market crash in Frisco, maybe a market crash in Puerto Rico, maybe a market crash in Houston, right? Maybe there's tips to avoid the crash. Is it the right time to sell or a bad time to sell? Why this might be the great time? Like the people, the best content marketer will win, but the content marketer without a clear call to action and a funnel to align to that so that they can actually turn those opportunities into conversations. It will always be the best marketer wins. And if you want to make it through any type of crash, even if real estate goes away, period, then invest in yourself, invest in your ability to leverage online marketing, because no matter what it is that you do, I promise you, customers are going to always be online. They're going to always be on their smartphone. They're going to always be watching video. So build the muscle and build the skill so that you can become more valuable in the marketplace. And when you create more value in the marketplace, you get market share because
One thing that's interesting, man, is that when you're in a situation now where people are starting to have more fear creep into the marketplace, more uncertainty, more doubt, that's the ideal situation for a marketer. We always say that you want to be in the business of selling painkillers, not candy. Well, it's been raining candy for so long. Now, as we start to shift into more uncertainty and more fear-based, we can sell painkillers, meaning that people, when they have doubts, they're uncertain, they go to experts to find information. They seek out information. They hyper consume. So people that actually get really serious about their content marketing right now, and they get serious about YouTube, they get serious about educating their potential clients about the state of the market, about the things that they should be doing. I believe that this is a huge opportunity for people to come out of nowhere and pick up amazing audiences. I think that I think right now is a great opportunity to build an audience super fast because of the search volume. If you actually go in and start looking at, the search volume around keywords related to the market, that's one of the reasons why we're recording this podcast right now, because this is a topic that is highly searched, that is, it has value from an SEO standpoint. I mean, people are looking for this information. So, man, if you just show up, if you be the person that provides it, and as you mentioned, Michael, you got a funnel, you got a call to action, you got a way for somebody to take the next step to get more information than just consuming the free information that they find you on YouTube through your videos. Man, that's where the rubber hits the road. I just think it's a huge, huge, huge opportunity for the people that step up and see it. I saw it when the market crashed. There was a shift. There would be agents that would come to me that had amazing businesses. They had, great relationships. They represented builders or, whatever the case. And then all of a sudden that business turned off like a water faucet, and they had to reposition and readjust. Some, because of pride and ego, fought it for a long time before they decided, wow, I've got to really shift focus. And man, it looks like I'm gonna have to do some short sales. It looks like I'm gonna have to help some people out that are feeling distressed, that are in this tight situation, right? And so again, man, if you just recognize that up front, recognize it now, and start building the war chest now, start building the content now, man, I just think that you can be positioned to completely overtake people that might have been more dominant in your market, especially people that have been following kind of old school, maybe traditional methods that really aren't marketers. Maybe they've just had deep relationships, and those relationships are always going to be there, and we're definitely looking to build those relationships. But if you can be the voice for the new generation, if you can be on new media, if you can be leveraging new strategies to dominate on social, then man, I just think this is a huge time, coupled with this market shift, to really take a lot of market share from the established players. So let's get busy, let's get after it. Now is the time for sure.
Yeah, and one thing I want to just go on record, just so people can look back. I predict after the seller thing, Woods, I predict. You got to look at like inventory issues. Here's the problem that we have, and I just want to point this out, and we're going to end this. What caused low inventory? I'm going to tell you what caused low inventory. It was the institutional buyer entering the marketplace. We didn't, beforehand we had problems. We haven't seen the collapse of the institutional buyer. We have not. We've seen them enter the marketplace. We've seen them take market share. We've seen Zillow have to unwind. But there is a lot of. I saw a staggering number. I'm not going to look it up, but I remember being blown away. I was watching a presentation, and I was blown away. And the whole context was, what happens, with these institutional buyers if they do get in a bind and they have to unload these. Like, the problem that we have is vacancy rates, people losing jobs, right? Like right now we're talking about like people losing jobs and busting out of a loan, but people losing jobs and not being able to pay their lease, right? It's this institutional investor being affected as well, that they have to sell their property, right? We had a deal enter our market where I live, and it's very rare that you've seen a deal, but the guy got in a bind, right? And people of success can get in binds, and what are they going to do to get out of the bind? They're going to sell assets. And so there is one caveat to what could make this a huge problem, is that inventory that no one's really paying attention to. The problem isn't going to come from people who are selling their home that can remain in their home and live in their home. That's not going to be the problem. The problem is going to be the people that are affected financially, and that can't buy a home anymore because interest rates are now higher. They can't buy a home anymore because of their current situation at their occupation or something changes, or because maybe their cash flow changed. They don't have enough discretionary income like they did before, right? But the main thing I want to say is this institutional buyer. Y'all pay attention to them. That could be something that if it came out of right field and there was a underlining problem that everybody was ignoring, they're out there picking up houses. What do? They buy a bunch of houses. The market goes up. Guess who? They made a lot of money. They made billions and billions and billions. They're bets, right? But that also goes the other way. And we've seen it before. We've seen the collapse before, where things look good, but we will see how good and well those business models will happen if for some reason the market goes into a different direction. So with that being said, I think the opportunity is still the same. People make money going up. People make money going down. The question is, who are you targeting? Why should they listen to you? Why should they pay you with their attention? And how can you start building assets so that you can get leverage, so you can attract people rather than chase them? And guys, listen, we appreciate you watching this episode of the Digital President Podcast. If you're listening to it, we would love for you to subscribe. If you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe as well. And man, maybe we can't really do anything for you, but we can make you think differently. And when you change the way you think, you change your decisions. It's the sum of your decisions over time that take you where you want to go. So make sure you're taking time to not only work in the business, on the business, but you're having an equal balance. You're taking the time to put in your calendar and ask yourself, where is the puck going, right? And so with that being said, Woods, that's all I got. I do know this: the people that I've seen make the most money in real estate the fastest were the ones that had one thing right. They knew where the market was going. So if you don't have an opinion and you don't think it matters, I would think again.